Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good Friday night on this wonderful evening of change in our great country. So, hope everyone's adjusting to all the new things that are going to be happening. But tonight, we're not going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about narcissism, the hot topic on the internet. My name's Dr. Stephen Walker. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I'm doing these mental health live streams for you, not for me. This is about you engaging about your mental illness, your mental health. Remember, everybody has a degree of mental illness, just like everyone has a degree of physical illness, dental illness, whatever illness. Everyone has a degree of mental illness, and we need to work on it. We need to move our society out of this stigma about having emotional wounds and not dealing with them, and talk about them. So tonight we have a very special guest. Jessica is going to come on tonight and talk about how living and being around a narcissist has affected her. She's going to talk a little bit about her experience with this, her road to healing. She's here to help people who are out there dealing with these same issues feel like there's nothing to be ashamed of. People who live with a certain type of an emotional or psychological abuser many times don't even know that that's what's happening to them. So Jessica is going to come on and talk about that. Again, remember, this is about you engaging with me or my guest and asking questions and talking about your experience. Please do not be afraid to talk about what's on your mind. The guests that are coming on are real life people who have either been through some sort of trauma, worked on it, and now are on the other end of the trauma, moving out of post-traumatic stress into post-traumatic growth. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Jessica on, and we're going to talk briefly. We're going to talk about our experience working together. She's going to talk about some of what she's been through. And again, please ask a question. And by the way, Jessica has chosen to remain anonymous. You're going to be able to hear her voice, not see her video, because again, I do with whatever the guests want. Some people would prefer a certain amount of anonymity, and that's perfectly fine. So let me see if Jessica's there. Jessica, are you with us?
Hi.
Hey, Jessica, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. How are things in Florida? Did you guys get blown and drowned out?
Yes, we did. The main highway in front of my complex became a river, but is now a road again. So we're doing well.
Well, we're glad you made it through so you can help people out there who are dealing with abusive relationships or toxic relationships or people who gaslight other people. So we're glad to have you here tonight. So Jessica, why don't you, I know this is a very broad way to get started, but why don't you give the viewers who are on live, who are going to be seeing this on delay, why don't you give them an idea of why you're here, what you went through, jump in kind of wherever you want.
So I was in couples therapy with my ex-fiance, my fiance at the time, and that therapist suggested that I seek individual therapy. And so that's when I found you. And we started doing sessions, I would say probably like January, somewhere in the beginning of the year, right? Like right around COVID.
Right.
And I was going through a lot of emotions. I was having trouble having relationships at work. I was having trouble having relationships at home with my family, and I was starting to feel like I was the crazy one. And so I reached out to you and I explained my situation, and I basically just wanted to know how I could stop being the crazy one, because I was sincerely convinced that it was me. Because
you were the crazy one, huh?
I was the crazy one because
right.
I was having so many problems. It wasn't just, in my relationship with my fiance. It was, at work. It was with friends, family. I was having problems everywhere, and I wanted it to stop. And so whatever it took, if I had to change, if I had to do something, whatever it took, I wanted to I wanted my life to be normal. And so through our process, our long process, um,
Wasn't
and
that long,
you
if you really think about it.
you've been very patient with me. I have not been the best client. I will say that I do have anger issues, which is, expectable. But
Sure.
yes,
Well, let's
so
back up a little bit. So how did you arrive to be the crazy one in the relationship if you're like how was that who convinced you of that? Is that something you came to the conclusion of, or was that the person telling you, "What's the matter with you? I'm not doing anything. This is all in your mind."
um, that is a great question, and it was my mom and my ex-fiance that were constantly putting in my mind, "You're the crazy one," and then, you know, why do you keep doing these things? Why do you keep responding this way? Why can't you just be this way? Or why can't you just do this? Then you'd be a good person. And then people would like you.
Hmm.
If you would just do this, people would like you and you wouldn't have these problems. I don't have these problems. So it must be you.
Hmm.
So those are like gaslighting, as you were saying. Those are typical of narcissistic people.
And when you
And
say gaslighting, for people out there who have never heard that expression, so gaslighting was originally coined or taken by from a movie, an Alfred Hitchcock movie, where
mhm,
a person was made to feel that they were going crazy
yes.
when they were actually had a grasp on exactly what was happening. And then, so how did that what is gaslighting when you're involved with a narcissist?
So a typical conversation that involves gaslighting with a narcissist would be, for example, cheating.
Hmm.
So the ex fiance, I would question him. I'd be like, "So I saw the text messages from this girl on your phone, and she said that she had a good time last night. What is that all about?"
Hmm.
And his response would be, why are you going through my phone?
Hmm.
That's like so intrusive. You shouldn't have been going through my phone. And by the way, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I would say, it's right here. I have proof that you are cheating on me. And
Hmm.
he'd be like, well, you made me do it anyways.
Hmm.
So if you would have just paid more attention to me, I wouldn't have even had to talk to that girl. So
Hmm.
just in like 5 minutes, we had this circular conversation about all these reasons why I was the reason he cheated. And then it ended with him not cheating at all. So that is what gaslighting is.
Hmm.
It's crazy making conversation to make you think that you were the reason, and then it didn't even exist.
Exactly, exactly. So the gaslighter or the person doing the gaslighting will make the victim of the abuse feel as though, wow, what are you talking about? I'm not doing anything. This is all you. These are your
Mm-hmm.
issues. The analogy is like they'll punch you, not literally, but they'll punch you in the face, and then your head will swell up, and they'll be like, "Oh, why is your head swelling? I mean,
Yes.
can't you control the swelling?" And they'll say things like, it's not up to me how I affect you. It's
Yep.
not up to me.
And then they'll blame you for punching you.
Exactly.
Yes.
If
Mhm.
if you hadn't said that to me, I would have never hit you.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah,
Exactly. So
exactly.
when did you start realizing, um either in your past relationship, the one that we've been working on, or the previous one, when did you realize this dude may be a narcissist? Like when how did you arrive at that?
Um,
And by the way, Fernando is saying, sounds like you needed them to empathize with you instead of judge. I can relate.
yes.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
again, the key thing that makes somebody a narcissist, because every human being has a certain degree of every mental illness, whether it's
Yeah.
bipolar, anxiety, overeating, caffeine disorder, whatever it may be. But the thing about narcissism that holds all of that together is the lack of empathy. that feeling that you're with somebody who literally, what? I don't know what you're talking about. I can't feel that.
And not they like I would like to point out lack of empathy. Like they have learned how to act like they have empathy. So if we went to a funeral, he would know that he was supposed to cry, but he wasn't necessarily sad. He just learned that people are supposed to cry at funeral. You have to be careful. Like it's very hard to know that you're in this kind of situation. So to answer your question, I didn't know until you and I were working for, I would say, about 6 months, and I caught him cheating again. And you asked me, you were very good.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't pay her to say that, everybody. I did not pay her to say that.
No, you've always been very good at, I do get frustrated sometimes. Like I said, I have anger issues, but you've always been good at helping and never judging, and always just asking me to figure out my own conclusion. So I specifically remember he had cheated on me again, and we had gone out on a group outing with his daughter at the time. And I was very upset because I had paid for everything, and which I normally did. I paid for everything. Like narcissists feel like you owe them everything, like they're entitled, and they don't have to work. You pay the bills, and because that's what they deserve. And so I was very upset because I had planned this whole trip with his daughter and paid for everything. And I caught him cheating again, and we were talking, and I was like, I just don't understand. Like, how can he disrespect me like this? It's just not fair. And you asked me, well, why do you want to continue to allow him to do this? Like, this is, and I said, well, he said that, he's never done this before, that I'm the only one that he's ever done this with, because all his other girlfriends, he never had to do that. He never had to treat me like that. And your response was, Jessica, why do you believe that? Like, he has lied to you, and lying is a behavior that's developed.
It's a pattern, right? That's
It's
what
a
we talked about.
pattern. Yeah. It's something that's developed over a long period of time. So why would you think all of a sudden now you're the only one? And I was like, oh my God, holy crap.
And that's one of the classic things a good narcissist will do. Not that there's a good narcissist, but you know what I mean? Somebody who is used to doing this is they'll say things to you like that. Like, I've never done this before, which is a way of making you think what?
That I'm not worthy and I need to be better to be like the other girl.
Exactly.
So that was the moment. That was when you said, why do you think that you're different from all the other girls? Why do you think he is not lying now? And I was like, holy crap. Like, you're totally right. Like, he is a liar. Like, our whole relationship was a lie. Why would this one thing be true? Why would him saying that all the other girls never did this, you're the only one, why would that be true? And it was that.
And you wanted it to be true, right? Like,
I
you
did.
wanted it. Yeah, that's the thing.
I did,
And they know that. He knows that if he can make you believe that you're the first one, you'll start having a series of thoughts like this, like, oh crap, what did I do? oh man, maybe I need to stop doing, or geez, if I'm the only one that this has ever happened with, maybe it is me.
Yeah.
Maybe it is me. And when they get when the gaslighting, when you begin to get convinced that it's you, then like Janie is saying, master of manipulation. And Fernando, I'm going to get to your question in a second, but as they begin manipulating your behavior into now cool, now I got her, now I got her.
Yeah. And that was the moment I was like, oh my God, you're right. And so that's when I started questioning him. And when I started questioning him, that's when he got scared because he was losing control. And then when you offered to have a group session, because you knew, I knew you knew, I don't think I ever told you this, but I knew you knew that our couples therapy was not going well.
Well, I always dance around that with other providers, but
Couples therapy is not good sometimes with narcissists because they
sure.
triangulate and they find ways to actually manipulate the therapist. And sometimes if a therapist is not, that's why I want to emphasize it's very important to see a licensed psychologist, not a
Or counselor,
licensed,
or counselor.
well,
Oh, really? You have your
I don't agree
experiences
with
there.
you there. Like,
Okay.
I feel like it has to be a doctor.
Hmm.
It has to be a doctor because licensed, whatever therapists that,
Mental health professional or
yeah,
counselor or
they don't teach enough about narcissism. They don't
hmm.
teach enough about personality disorders unless the person is specialized in it and that's all they treat. I really, I only recommend a doctor. Like,
Hmm.
seriously, because that therapist, he manipulated and he complimented and schmoozed and he got her right into his trap just like he did everybody else.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
And I don't want to set myself up better than other people, so that's Jessica's relating to it. But there is, maybe a lot of people don't know, that there are different levels of education and experience between um, licensed counselors, licensed clinical social workers, and then licensed psychologists. So Jessica, just since we're segueing into that, and we can come back to some of your experiences, what was it about, like the work, like you see a lot of people with these narcissist podcasts and these narcissist YouTube channels, and it's how to spot a narcissist, the 10 ways to get even with a narcissist. Talk a little bit about what you found online as you began looking into all this.
So, we had our sessions, well, we have our sessions always on Mondays. And you have to have supplemental education on top
Sure.
of, because 45 minutes is just not enough for somebody going through this trauma. And so I
And we
listened
texted a
to,
lot during sessions, it wasn't
yeah,
just like,
we,
hey, like 45 minutes, see you later, that's
oh, no.
sure.
Yeah, no, you're always available for me.
Appreciate
So, and
that.
I appreciate it. But my supplemental educator, a lot of books, Psychopath Free, Trauma Bond, um, How to Be the Narcissist's Worst Nightmare,
Hmm.
Narcology, Tea with, I don't remember her name, and then Jess. There's so many, Dr. Romani. There's so many videos out there. So I would caution the videos that say things like are very religious heavy
Hmm.
or very, astrological, things like that. I would concentrate more on, like I said, doctors that are educated or people that, you know, truly can relate and they're saying things that you have actually experienced. It's You have to weed out the videos as well, but the books, definitely. All the
Hmm.
books I just named were all by doctors, and they helped me so much. And I listen to them every day. Like, this abuse is, it's real.
Hmm.
And I haven't been able to even listen to music on the radio until like 2 days ago.
What was
I've
that? What was the music would trigger memories or?
Yeah, like
Hmm.
any kind of music would trigger either a bad time or a good time or everything. So I haven't even listened to music on the radio for 3 months
Hmm.
until 2 days ago.
Wow.
Like, that's how bad it is. And so now I've broken my trauma bond. I've
What's a
officially
trauma
feel
bond? That I mean, obviously, I know what it is, but I mean, somebody looking at this live or after we post it, what's a trauma bond?
So a trauma bond is a connection that you have with somebody. It either brought you to them, like you connected through the trauma that you both experienced in your life, or you still want to be with them because you're trauma bonded to them. So if they abused you and, physically, mentally, or whatever, you still miss them and you
Hmm.
still want to be with them,
Hmm.
regardless of how horrible they treated you. And that is a trauma bond.
Hmm. And so when you were trauma bonded, what did it feel like? You felt like you couldn't escape, like it was you were trapped? What?
It's a physical pain. Like, it
Hmm.
is like a drug addiction. Like, you are addicted to the turmoil.
Hmm.
You're addicted to the toxic. You're addicted to the roller coaster. You're addicted to the chaos because you have been conditioned to think that chaos is love. And
Hmm.
that is not true.
Hmm.
And you have to
Interesting.
learn to love to be alone. You have to learn to love silence. You have to learn to love things that you,
Peace.
huh?
Peace. Like you have to learn to love
Peace.
peace and
Yeah.
calm and not
Calm. And
turmoil and
yeah, you are addicted to the adrenaline. You're
hmm.
addicted to the tug and pull. And you have to break it. You have to break it. And the only way to break it is to educate, to have therapy with a
Hmm.
professional doctor, and to not talk to them, block them, to just remove the pictures, get rid of their stuff. You have to get rid of the drug if you're going to stop using it.
Hmm. So when as you're doing this, as you're blocking, as you're getting rid of pictures and all that, what happens when they make contact? Like, how do you deal with that? Or how did you deal with that?
Um, so I had to go no, like, I had to go no
Radio
contact.
silence, right?
Yeah, I had to. There was no way I was going to be strong enough to leave, because
Hmm.
I knew that I had known him for 20 years. We grew up together. He
Hmm.
was my best friend. So I knew that the only way I was going to break this bond is to I had to come off. And it, just like my mom, it's not just leaders, it's parents. My
Hmm.
mom was a narcissist, and
Hmm.
I didn't realize that either until you. So my mom was the reason I ended up in an abusive relationship. So I had to cut all friends, family, like lovers, everybody. It had to go. All of it had to go. Just radio silence, no contact, blocked. And I know it sounds harsh, and everybody's like, oh, well, you can't cut your mom off. She's your mom. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
And just to be clear, just so somebody's watching this, I'm not telling you to do all this, right?
No,
Yeah, I'm not
no,
saying, Jessica, in order to work with me, you have to do XYZ, right?
no, you are
Okay.
telling me that I deserve to have healthy relationships, and regardless of what that relationship is in that capacity, whether it's a mom or a dad or a lover or a friend, I just be happy and not in toxic relationships. And if that means I have to remove my mom from my life to be happy, then that's what it takes. But it's always up to me what I want to do. And I chose that I'm removing my mom. It was very hard because
Sure.
I'm a religious person, and we had this conversation, you and I said, but you know, God says I can't remove my mom from my life, thou shalt honor thy mother and father.
Hmm.
But like you pointed out, where does the Bible say thou parents should honor their child? Like that, thou parents shouldn't abuse their child. Thou parents shouldn't mentally and physically harm their child. It doesn't. And I mean, it was a valid point, you
And I
know?
think one of the things that we worked on was, somebody watching this obviously doesn't understand. We're encapsulating months and months of work here, but without, and Jessica, you go into as much as you want, but what Jessica was working on was a pretty moderate to severe. So there's mild forms of trauma. Well, there's no trauma. I've never met anyone, either professionally or not professionally, who hasn't had some trauma in their past. So trauma's on a spectrum, people. Okay, there's mild, moderate, and extreme trauma. Okay, so as Jessica was relating this to me and talking about some of this trauma she went through as a kid, it had become so normalized to her that she kind of figured, what's the big deal? But as she began talking about it more and hearing herself talk about it more and reliving some of those memories, Jessica definitely had what was more in the moderate to severe window. Not severe where there was, like a ton of physical sexual abuse and that level of, death and all around the type of PTSD, but more in the 6, 7, 5, 6, 7 range. And she began to realize these things on her own. What I don't want people watching this to think is that when you work with someone like me, I'm coming heavy handed like Dr. Phil saying, girl, you got to cut these people out of your life and that is not my style at all. What I
No.
want people to
Mm-mm.
understand is a good, and I don't want to say like I'm Mr. Wonderful, but somebody who is well trained in this allows their client, allows their patient to come to these conclusions on
Yeah.
their own.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So when Jessica says she had to cut her mom out, she's not necessarily saying forever, but she's just saying that she had to make a decision based on a moderate to severe form of trauma that she went through with her mom.
So I could heal. So I could be strong enough to set boundaries, because boundaries are very important. And so I could set boundaries and be strong enough to have these people in my life when I want them or need them, and not have them when I want them or need them.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
so just for like past experience, my mom, she was not a good person. She basically lived through me because
Hmm.
she had her past traumas that she never dealt with. And
What do you mean by
so
live through you? What do you mean?
so she had her past traumas, so she felt because of her past traumas she could never succeed and be successful like she wanted. So she had a child to live out all of the things she wanted to do that she thought she could never do. So I was basically her prodigy child.
Hmm.
And so I was, I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy the things I was forced to do.
Sure.
I'm working on my 8th degree, about to have my 9th degree.
Hmm.
And I am classically trained. I play 7 instruments. So like I'm not trying to brag, but these are things I was forced
But that's
to
a lot
do.
of pressure to put on a kid.
Yeah, that I was forced to start learning instruments at the age of 4. My mom put me in private school because she knew that children that started private school could start kindergarten at the age of 5. If you went to public school, you had to wait till the age of 6. Like, I knew how to read and write by the age of 3. Like, these are not, everyone's like, oh, what's wrong with that? That's great. Like, where is there time for a child to play? To
And
have
that perfectionism is something, that was
Yes.
something you weren't even
Yeah.
aware that you were putting upon yourself.
Correct. And so that's why I'm working on my 9th degree, because I constantly felt like I was never good enough. If I just got one more degree, my mom would be happy. If I got one more award, my parents would actually tell me they loved me. Like, do you understand that there are families out there right now that have children that are just like money makers? Like, my parents didn't hug, they didn't kiss, they didn't say I love you, they didn't say I'm proud of you. You had to do your job, whatever your role was. I was the child, so my role was to go to school, make straight A's, play the piano, play the flute, play the bassoon, go to Girl Scouts, go to church. So, like, I had a list of things too starting at the age of 4. And then when I didn't abide by those, and then when my parents got divorced, I ended up in a foster home to learn my lesson. So it's it can be very challenging.
Sure.
So
And that
narcissistic abuse comes in so many forms.
Sure. What do you mean by that?
It's just like I'm saying, like, a narcissist doesn't have to be your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend. It most definitely 9 times out of 10 started as your parent. And that's how you ended up where you did.
Interesting.
My mom was a narcissist. My mom was a narcissist, and she exploited me to make herself look good. And then when I actually succeeded, she sabotaged me and then blamed me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you think you learned from that?
I learned that I am a great person.
No, I mean from that abuse of that being sabotaged, that feeling of needing to be perfect, that having the rug ripped out from under you when you had to be put into the foster home. What do you think that's teaching a kid?
It's teaching them that they're not good enough, and that abuse is love, and it's horrible. I lived my whole life thinking that my ex-fiance breaking my arm was love. Like, I thought that him telling me that I needed to do better for him and I needed to pay his bills was love. Because if I just did one more thing, he would love me. That's what it's teaching kids.
Conditional love, right?
Conditional love. Yeah. It was.
And we're getting some good, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. We're getting some really good comments here. And I want everyone to know, as they're hearing Jessica's story, I don't know if you can hear it in her voice, but she's able to relate this and talk about this because she's worked on it.
Yeah.
The key of all of these broadcasts that I'm doing, all of these live streams, is that if you don't talk it out, if you don't talk things out of you, you're going to be in a state within yourself where, oh, no, I can't talk about that. I don't even want to think about that. And I've always said, if there's something in you people that, and I don't mean you people, but in you, people, that if there's something in you that you can say honestly, oh, no, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. That's exactly what you should be talking about. So when you hear Jessica relating all of this, this ain't how it started. She has
No.
gotten to this point by talking it out and becoming acclimatized to it, acclimated to it, so that she can relate this to. And she, as we were doing this and we were talking about this, this is Jessica wanting to tell the world, tell whoever stumbles across these videos, that you can heal, right, Jessica? That's the message here, right?
Yes. Like, you don't understand. Like, I'm 39. For 39 years, I did not know I was being abused. Like, seriously. Like, people are like, oh, why didn't you just leave?
Right.
Or why didn't you just, cut them out? You have all these degrees, you have all this education. Like, didn't you learn this when you worked in the hospital?
Victim blaming, victim
Yeah.
blaming.
Did you see this in the books? Like,
Mm.
how did you not know you were being abused? Like, people you don't understand. You really are, when you have grown up with a mother that measures you and makes you be a certain weight and a
Mm.
certain look, and you have to make a decision. I was telling Dr. Walker about a book that I read, How to Be the Narcissist's Worst Nightmare. And it was written by a doctor who was actually sexually abused by her father and stepfather.
Wow.
And yeah, but she made a statement that really hit home, that said, as a child, she was 6 years old, I was 9. So as a child, she had to make a decision, and it was the hardest decision of her life. And she said that she had to accept this behavior that her mom treated her with as love,
Mm.
because if she didn't, that meant her mom didn't love her.
And that's a devastating thing for kids to feel, that their parents don't love them, or they wonder if their parents love them.
Yeah.
So let me just get to a couple questions here. So Fernando's saying, I understand that a narcissist can cause a lot of pain, but is there a way for them to heal? I'm always trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel of pain. Amen, brother. In order to hold a relationship. Perhaps relationships have hope, but where do they begin to heal? Great question. So I'm a firm believer that anybody who wants to heal can work on their healing, can work on it. The thing, though, about narcissists is they don't even believe that there's anything wrong with them. So if you wonder, well, am I a narcissist? Do I not have a lot of empathy? Am I causing pain on other people? That would be the first step in the healing, Fernando. The first step would be you being able, not you, Fernando, but the person who needs to work on themselves, being able to say to themselves, is there something that I need to work on? And I don't know if anyone caught the broadcast from the other night where we had a gentleman come on talking about, how to be a man and what he learned about toxic masculinity. But yes, I do believe if I had a hardcore white supremacist or a hardcore Black Lives Matter hater, racist, who wants to work on that, they can absolutely make some changes. But the key is wanting to make the change. And like with Jessica, she had gotten to a point where she just knew something needs to heal, right, Jessica?
Yeah, I knew something had to change, and whether it was me or them, something had to change, because something wasn't right. So I started questioning it, and that's when I found out it was me, because I had childhood traumas, but I worked on it. But it was also them. It
Right.
was also them. I was being abused, and I didn't know it.
And a lot of people don't. I've been very open on a lot of these live streams about the work I've done on myself. I had a similar situation as I was working with somebody, and I was relating how my brother and I were routinely every Christmas, not every Christmas, but many Christmases, many summers, we were just left at my grandparents' house. Now, thankfully, those are some of my best memories of being, fishing with my grandfather. My grandmother was an extremely loving person. So thankfully that worked out. But as I'm relating to this, she began looking at it, well, like, have you ever thought about how that affected you? And I had never even crossed my mind that was some of the reason why I had attachment issues until I worked through it. So the beautiful thing about this work when you're working with somebody is you may think behavior that you're used to is not dysfunctional until somebody outside of you says, well, wait a second, you may want to look at that. So we're getting a couple of comments here too. I just want to read them off because I really appreciate you commenting. TB from YouTube is saying the parental stuff is scary, relatable. Absolutely. So great. People are realizing that they're not alone, that this is very common. Janie is saying, sorry to hear that, empathizing with you. We have a new viewer, HW Liberty, saying, I'm the daughter of a narcissist, narcissistic mom. I've been to many psychologists. They don't know nothing. I hear you. I've learned more on my own. I'm too tired to watch right now, but thanks. No problem. All I'm saying to you guys is this. They're just like in any profession. There are people who know what they're doing and some people who don't. I'm not saying I'm Mr. Wonderful, but so Jessica, what do you mean by yes?
Yes. Like, so the things is look out for, so like the couples therapist, I would tell her, listen, he says these things in here in our sessions, but when we go home, he changes his whole script. Like he won't do the work. He will go crazy. Every time I try to bring something up, he'll leave. He's a completely different person. And these are things that therapists should be looking for. And therapists should not be blaming you. They should not be telling you, oh, you should just move on or get over it.
Yeah, that life coaching stuff. I hear.
Oh God, yeah. Just look in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful. Then everything will be fine.
Or you're allowing the abuse,
Yeah. So you have to accept your part in the abuse. That's my favorite. I'm sorry.
Sure.
I have to jump in. That is my favorite comment out of all of everybody, all the toxic people in my past, by the way. My favorite was, you have to take some part in your ex breaking your arm. I mean, you allowed him to do that. Really? Seriously?
Right.
So basically, I understand, yes, a lot of psychologists are not educated in this topic. Yes. But you have to keep trying. You have to keep looking, because the only way to do it, the only way to heal, is to find somebody that helps you by letting you figure it out, but they give you questions, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, Dr. Walker.
Sure.
I would vent to you all the time. I'd be like, so I called you, for example, okay, let's get into.
Yeah, you call me a bald-headed freak that didn't. No, I'm kidding.
No, no, let's talk about the day that we had our session. I was sitting outside the ring store, about to have to sell my engagement ring.
Sure.
And I had not even told you about the abuse or the legal charges or any, you knew nothing. You knew about the cheating, you knew about, the disrespect and the gaslighting and all that, but you didn't even know about the abuse or any of that. And I was sitting outside the ring store, and I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I have to go sell this engagement ring because he's telling me I have to. And then you sat there and you said, well, why does this make you sad? You didn't judge me. You didn't say, well, Jessica, you have from this, he abused you, so you got to sell the ring and move on. You were like, okay, well, why are you sad that you have to sell it?
Hmm.
And I said, because this is my fourth one.
Hmm.
And you said, okay, well, why are things ending? Like, what's going on? And then that's when I told you everything that you
Sure.
hadn't known.
And that's one of the things that you're hitting on that I've talked about before on some of these live streams about my orientation in trying to help people heal is you have to therapeutically have them feel in order to heal. You can't, you have to allow, it's a form of exposure therapy where if they're not feeling it, they can't heal it, but you can't flood them by throwing them into the pool too quickly. So I'm glad that whatever work we did on that helped you just be able to feel it in order to find the answers on your own, because then you own it. It's yours. It's not me telling you how to change your life. It's
Yeah,
you coming to those conclusions.
yeah. But also, you're there to help me fall and then pick me up. Like, it's very hard, so it's very hard for someone to feel and then heal. And
Sure.
that's why you have your therapist. If your therapist is not helping you feel and heal, then they're not the right one.
Right.
So a therapist will never judge. They will ask you, they will ask you why, and then ask you why again, and ask you why again. And but when you finally say the truth, because that's what we're all scared of in reality,
Absolutely.
is the truth. We're scared of saying it out loud. I saw a very great quote
Oh, yeah.
through my healing process, and it said, if you have to keep a relationship secret, it's toxic.
Right.
So talking about your relationship, you don't really realize it's toxic until you have to say it out loud.
Absolutely. And hearing that is very powerful. So just to get to a couple comments here, Angie saying, I worry how much I'm messing my kids up. Well, Angie, right there is a very powerful realization that you're owning that. And I would encourage you to talk to your kids about that. Ask them,
Mhm.
are there things about the way I'm parenting with you that are causing you pain? Is there, what can we do to help you heal that?
Yes.
So the fact that Angie is a self-aware parent, realizing that she may be messing her kids up, and Angie, you've been a great loyal watcher of the live streams. I can almost guarantee you that whatever you think you're doing in messing them up is filtering through some of the stuff we've talked about before about your self-hatred, blaming yourself, over pathologizing. You're always the worst one. It's always you. So whatever you're afraid that you're doing to mess your kids up, I'm sure is not as bad as you think it is, but check in with them. Okay, please check in with them. And Juan from YouTube is saying, great question, Juan. When a psychologist gives advice to a person who is married and the advice is about the significant other, do you think it's a good idea for the significant other to be part of the session? Great question. So I'll touch on that real quick. And then I know it's getting late on the East Coast for Jessica, so I just want to close up with that. But Juan, what you're asking me is, I need to know what advice they're giving. So if I'm never going to give advice like, well, dude, you should break up with your wife, or she's not right for you, or whatever. I may give you advice like, well, maybe you should talk to her about how you're feeling. Maybe you should be more open with how you're feeling. If she consistently is upset that you're going out with your friends, maybe you guys should talk about that. So the second part of your question is, do you think it's a good idea for the significant other to be part of the session? That's a very complex question, because what that involves is, first, does the person want to be part of the session? Does the person I'm seeing do they not want that? Is the person coming into the session going to feel like Juan and we have this therapeutic alliance and we're going to pounce all over them? So what I would recommend, Juan, if this is personal to you and an actual personal question, is if you think your wife or the significant other should be part of the session, talk to the significant other and ask them if they want to be part of the session, and then allow the person who's coming in new to the session to have the floor for almost the entire session, so that they can feel that now they have some skin in the game, so to speak, meaning that the therapist or whatever isn't just aligning against them. Okay. And then Janie is saying, so see already, Jessica, you're helping somebody you haven't even met. Janie is saying the word trauma bond is a powerful eye opener. So Janie, if you want to follow up with that, how is it open? What kind of eye opener is it for you? So great, guys. This is exactly why I'm doing this. Okay. And this is why Jessica wanted to come on, because whoever is on live, whoever's watching this after we upload it, what do you want in closing out here, Jessica? What do you want people to remember about not only what you've been through, but about their ability to heal? What's your closing message here?
I'd like to comment on the mother who thinks that she is
Angie.
Ruining her child's life. As a child who was in a abusive relationship with her mother, please don't ever feel like you're doing that. Just reach out to your, like Dr. Walker said, talk to them like they're human beings, not adults, because children are adults, but talk to them like they're humans, have that conversation with them. Respect them as a human, not an adult. Respect them as a human. Treat them as you would treat somebody else. Sit down and have a conversation with them. How would you like mommy to, is mommy being okay? Do you have any hurt feelings? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have loved my mom to actually sit down and talk to me, but that never happened. So you're not messing anybody up. You're not messing anybody up. Just talk to your kids like you would talk to your friend or anybody else, and respect them as a human, and ask them how you can be a family, a symbiotic family, and how you and they can improve and live life, and make sure you share that you love them, on a regular basis. So
and ask them, like Jessica, imagine if your mom had come to you and said, honey, am I putting too much pressure on you?
Yeah.
Like, do you feel sometimes like you're a trophy, like I'm living through you? Like, how is that affecting you? Imagine if she had said that, how would that have helped you?
Yeah. I would have told her that I hate playing the piano. I hate it. I freaking hate it. I didn't want to play the piano. I went to my mom and I asked her, I wanted for my mom asked me, what do you want for your birthday? I said, I want a chemistry set. I want a chemistry set. I want the scopes, the telescopes. I wanted a telescope because I'm into science. That was my thing. She said, no, girls don't do that. Girls don't do that. So, listen to your kids, listen to them, and love them for who they are. Love them for who they are, not who you want them to be. So
great, Jessica. Well, let's close out here. I'm going to read Angie's last thing, because I think this sums up a lot of what it's like to be living with somebody who has narcissistic qualities. Details of what goes on at home are lied about, hidden, not talked about. I'm told if you did or didn't do things, the situation wouldn't be as bad. Or would be different, that he will say one thing when we're talking with other people and change his position completely once we're home alone again, as Jessica related. But we've been together 18 years, married 16. Sure, I don't know how to stay and I don't know how to go. That's I might steal that as a title for a book. I don't know how to stay and I don't know how to go. That's perfect. And then Janie's saying, I realize I am trauma bonded to my dad's death. Oh, interesting. The loss makes me angry, just like all male abuse had in my life, the loss of control. Absolutely. What are your thoughts there, Jessica?
I'm sorry. I can relate. I can relate to all of that, because even though my mom is still living, I mourn her like a death. So I get it. It's very hard, but you have to choose, you have to set a date, and you have to choose to heal. That's the
Sure.
only way. And it has
And
to be with a doctor. I'm
well, I don't know
sorry.
about, I don't want everyone to, I told her to say this. I'm
No,
not, I
it
didn't do
has to
that.
be with a licensed psychologist or a licensed psychiatrist. I'm sorry, but from my experience, from the 39 years that I have been in oblivion of being abused, it has to. You have to seek therapy. You have to put in the work. It's more than just 45 minutes a week. You have to read, educate, write. Writing really helped me a lot. I
Right.
write, I have my own blog. You have to put in the work if you truly want to heal. You have to do it. So once you know, you have to heal.
Beautiful.
So no excuses.
Well, Jessica, thank you for coming on. I know that people hearing your story might help inspire them, might help them feel that they're not alone in the world, might help them realize that they are the victim. There's nothing wrong with the word victim, but we don't need to stay a victim.
Yeah.
So I think part of what I'm very happy that you've done today is trying to let anybody who sees this know that these wounds can heal. These wounds can heal, but you've got to get into it. You've got to
Yep.
feel it, and you got to start heeling it. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for coming on. I'm going to let you go, get some rest. I know it's late on the East Coast, and then we'll catch up again. So thank you for coming on. And I know anybody who's watching this live or after we upload it appreciates it. So any closing thought for you?
No, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I
Great.
can share my thoughts, and Dr. Walker's amazing.
Oh,
So
well, thank you. I'll send you a check for that.
no,
Okay,
no.
Jessica. Well, thanks a lot. Get some rest and we'll catch up again.
All right,
Okay,
thanks. Have
thanks.
a good
Take care.
night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Whoops, I cut her off. Sorry. She said bye, everybody. So, okay, guys, that was Jessica's story. Frederick is saying, I'd appreciate it if in the future broadcast you would address how to heal narcissistic traits. Okay, Frederick, absolutely. That's a great idea. Well, I can do a specific broadcast on that. If there is a narcissist out there who is catching this and wants to come on and talk about how you can text me on this number. I don't spam or keep numbers or whatever. This is a web-based text basing, but that's actually a really good idea. So I will look into that. But Frederick, what I would say would be, if you wonder if you're a narcissist, that's the first step. Not saying it's you, Frederick, at all. But if somebody's out there watching this and they're thinking, well, am I negatively affecting my partner? Have I negatively affected my kid? That's the first question. Okay. That's the first question to begin asking yourself. Do I have enough of the narcissistic qualities that make me a narcissist? And then what do I do with that? So that's a great suggestion. And this is why I love doing these broadcasts live, so that I can get this kind of feedback from viewers. So yeah, that's a great idea. I think I will do a future broadcast on how to actually heal narcissistic traits within you, because we all have a degree of them. And like Jessica and I were talking about, the main thing that makes a narcissist is a lack of empathy. Okay, you can have a lot of the qualities, and we all do. We all have a degree of every mental illness that you will find in the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, mental disorders. But we all do. But the key thing that holds the narcissist traits together is lack of empathy. So if you can say to yourself, yeah, I feel disconnected from people. I really don't give a crap. And I'm not just talking about how we all feel that to a degree, but where you literally cannot feel for, thanks, Janie. You have a great weekend too. Glad you got some time off. Janie is a on the front lines of the COVID epidemic as a frontline provider. So thank you for all the work you're doing, Janie. But if you feel, not Janie, I'm talking about Frederick, but if you feel that you don't have a lot of empathy, you can definitely work on that, because odds are, if you don't have a lot of empathy, you learn that from somebody. You are most people are not born into this world with a lack of empathy. That is stemming back from some sort of childhood trauma, that they didn't get either enough love, or somebody, they didn't feel that empathy, or maybe they were raised, as Jessica was talking about, by narcissists. So all of these things can be worked on. So hope everyone has a good weekend. Remember, if you're catching this live or catching this after we upload it, everybody has a degree of mental illness, people. Everybody. The polarization we're seeing in our country right now of liberals and Democrats hating each other, white, black, gay, straight, whatever it may be, Jews, that is a symptom of unhealed emotional wounds. That is a symptom of unchallenged conditioning, beliefs that you have been spoon-fed, that you haven't stopped and thought about and said to yourself, wait a minute, why am I hating this person? Why am I hating myself? Where is this going to lead if I continue with these beliefs, this belief system inside of me that I'm not challenging? Okay, so I challenge everybody to accept their degree of mental illness. I have a degree, you have a degree, everyone has a degree of mental illness. We have to work on it. Things can get better. We can't go down this pessimistic idea that, oh, all hell is it's all lost, we're all going to die. That's bull. Okay, that's giving into the negativity. We need to work on our issues, people, because if we don't, they are going to work on us. So we got to work on it. All right. So hope everyone has a good weekend. Remember, I'm on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Mountain. I'm going to keep doing these as long as people are logging on and asking questions. All right. So thank you. Thank you again, Jessica, for your bravery and sharing your story. And again, if anyone's catching this live or after the fact and you want to be a guest, you saw exactly how it can be done. You can do it with video, without video. We engage with it. We let people hear, hey, these people are talking about their mental illness. They're not ashamed of it. Maybe I need to do that too. We'd have a totally different society. Not perfect, but we'd have a totally different society where people would be okay working on their issues. And that is what we need to start working towards. Okay. So thanks again for tuning in. Please catch me again Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we will catch you again. Have a great weekend. Get some rest. Turn off the TV, sit with your thoughts, and start working on it. Okay. Take care, people.